In this video, we're going to be having a detailed look at the all-new 2024 KTM 300 EXC. I just received delivery of my 2024 KTM 300 EXC, and while it's still stock, I thought I'd make a detailed video about some of the new features on the bike. So starting at the front wheel is one of the few things that hasn't changed. The front axle is 22mm, so previous model disc guards will work with it no problem at all. The brake disc diameter is 260mm. The rims are made by Giant, and it comes fitted with a front rim lock and a tube. And the tyre is a Maxxis Max Enduro 1990-21. Moving up to the forks, big change this year. It uses WP Exact. Closed cartridge fork. I'm really keen to try this out and see how it performs. So a big change is that the left and right fork legs are both exactly the same. So the compression adjusters are on the top, and they're easily adjusted by hand. And here you can see the rebound adjusters are exactly the same on the left and right fork legs, and also easily adjusted by hand. And the fork lower guard is a new design, although the mounting holes are exactly the same as older models from 2017, because the fork lug is unchanged. So if you want to use a aftermarket wraparound style fork guard, it should fit no problem. And the front fender is a new design, although the front section seems to be pretty much the same as the old one. It has these fins to give it a distinct look and style. And the triple clamps on the standard model are cast, but they have been machined to give them a nice design. And new for this year is a very large bar pad, and I'm going to remove it to show the handlebar clamps and the top triple clamp in more detail. And here you can see the handlebar clamp. So it's a one-piece lower, which attaches to the top triple clamp by nuts on the bottom, and a one-piece handlebar clamp upper. Looks pretty substantial. Will probably not bend that easily. So pretty good design. The only problem is that you only have two positions, so you can take the lower handlebar clamp off and rotate it 180 degrees, and that moves the handlebars to and fro, but only two positions. If you're happy with a position, no problem. If you're not, you'll have to go with a different upper triple clamp, which allows for more positions. The upper triple clamp, as you can see, it's pretty nicely finished compared to previous year models. Also has the torque settings, so 20 Newton meters on the top and 15 Newton meters on the bottom. And I was reading on the KTM webpage that they've changed the top steering head bearing to a one-piece design. You can see it partially here. I'll be interested to see what that actually looks like when I come to take the triple clamps apart at a later stage. And the headlight and headlight mask are new designs. The headlight uses a LED design bulb now, which is supposedly 3 times brighter than the old style halogen bulb. I'll be really interested to see how well that works off-road for the riding I do at night. The mask is a new design as well, and now has wings left and right to provide a little bit of protection to the triple clamps and fork tube uppers. And another change is how the headlight mask mounts to the bike. So previously rubber straps were used to mount to the upper fork tube. Now, as you can see here, 2 bolts are used to secure it to the speedo assembly, sub-assembly, and hold it that way. For handlebar controls, no real big change. Brembo hydraulic clutch and brake. The clutch on my model is a 10mm piston. The grips are made by Odi lock-on grips. I really like them, really easy to change. Haven't had any problems. I use wraparound handguards. You can actually buy them with the hole pre-cut. So I always order those, super easy to install, and really like those. One thing that has changed is the starter switch. Now integrates the kill switch into one integrated unit. If you press down here, see it starts, and then to kill it, you just press it in at the top, and then back to that when you're ready to ride again. And the speedo design is unchanged from previous models. There's a oil level indication light for the engine oil, and if you have turn signals fitted, there'll also be a turn signal indicator light. And the multi-switch on the left side controls the high-low beam of the LED headlight, and there's also a horn switch. If you have turn signals fitted, that will be on the lower part of the switch. And the handlebars are made by Nikon, and you can see the part number there. And moving back, you can see the oil filler cap for the oil injection. This appears to be the same as the TPI model. Very important to keep it clean so dirt doesn't get inside the system. The fuel tank with the cap, breather. The breather hose on mine is quite long. It's routed along the left-hand side of the frame, right down. That's a little bit different from previous models, which were either routed through the headset or down the right-hand side. The radiator cap design has changed. Lots of people don't like this because it's very difficult to do by hand. I've already purchased a tool, so that's not going to be an issue unless I need to look at it while I'm out for a ride. And the fuel tank is a new design. It's still 9 litres, but different shape, and the position of the fuel pump is completely different. I'll show that when the seat is off. And the expansion chamber is a new design. Gone is the rib design that was used on late TPI models. This uses a regular stamped steel welder construction with smooth steel. Should blow out nicely in the event of crash damage. And the seat is a completely new design. It uses a single bolt fastener at the front. There's no bolts at the back. I have removed it and put it on a few times. Removal is super easy. Putting it back on, you have to adjust the position of the seat to and fro a little bit just to get in the right spot. You have to be careful, otherwise you could cross-thread the retainer which is in the tank, and you don't want to damage that. It would be a real pain to replace. But I think it's a pretty good design and seems very solid. And all of the bodywork is a brand new design. Personally, I'm not sure I really like the purple accents, but that's easily changed. And then going back, the airbox, completely new design. It actually has a hole which goes all the way through underneath the seat into a new rear fender design, and the muffler is also a brand new design. And then on the other side you can see the airbox cover. This is super easy to remove. Just grab it, pull it out. The air filter is a brand new design, so you won't be able to use your old air filters with this. I have removed it and installed it. It seems to be very easy to install and locate in the surround. Seems very secure and a good design. And the side stand is a completely new design. It looks very sturdy. It's made from aluminium, so it's not particularly heavy, but it does seem very sturdy. And gone is the removable foot. So if you need to shorten your side stand for some reason, that's going to be more challenging. But I think overall much better design, and looks very sleek, and we'll have to see how it stands up to field use. And my bike was supplied with a 14-tooth front sprocket and a 45-tooth rear sprocket. It also came supplied with a 13-tooth sprocket. You should note, if you're coming from a TPI bike, that the transmission ratios are different from the TPI transmissions. So you should expect to see some difference in the final drive ratio that feels similar. I'm probably going to use a 13-tooth front sprocket, and all my wheels have 50-tooth sprockets, so I'm going to do 1350. I have been using 1250. I suspect 1350 will feel fairly similar, but just have to see how it goes. And the chain guide is all new design. You won't be able to use previous generation chain guides on this. You'll have to wait for vendors to come out with a new design to fit this. And one change for the rear wheel is it now uses a 22mm axle, so the spaces required will be different if you have multiple wheel sets. Also, the rear axle nut is 30mm, so you need a 30mm hex socket to remove the axle. The tyres used are Maxxis Max Enduro 140/80/18, and the rims are made by Giant. And the rear features a combination LED light and brake light. Okay, so I've taken the seat off, and you can see the fuel tank fuel pump with the electrical connection and also the fuel connection. To remove the fuel tank, you'll need to disconnect the electrical connection, and then the fuel tank connection is low down. Then there's a lithium battery. Terminal's nice and easy to get to. In front of the battery is a solenoid for the starter with a fuse. It also has some spare fuses. And then coming back from the battery, you can see what KTM calls the OCU, off-road control unit. And this replaces the traditional fuse box. So it has circuits for separate circuits for ignition, lights, brake and horn, pump and fan. And if things are operating okay, when the bike's running, you'll see a green light for each of these. If for some reason something goes overload, like short circuit, it will change to red and cut the voltage off. It will recover automatically if the overload is removed. So I like this. There's no fuses to change. What I don't know though is what the current rating for each of these circuits is. So if, for example, you want to add some accessories like a USB charger or heated grips or whatever, I'm not sure whether you can, for example, on the light circuit, you could tap into the headlight circuit and run something off that, but I don't know what the current limit is. So if anyone knows what the current limits are for these circuits, I'll be interested to know that information. And then going back, you can see the ECU here. It's in a rubber cable which just pulls up, can be removed with a connector. Down here is a white connector for the rollover sensor, which will shut the engine off if the bike is on its side for any period of time. And beside that is a connector to access the ECU information. So you can hook it up to a diagnostic tester. KTM have the XC2 tester, and you can read off all data and codes, etc. I did try connecting my OBD2 reader and using an app on my iPhone. That did not work. All I could read was the OBD2 bus voltage. So I'll be interested to hear from anyone who has success in being able to read the data from this using a reasonably priced tool other than the KTM tool, which is really only available to dealers. And then moving back, there's three connectors here. This one is for the tail light, so the stop light and the regular light. The one in the middle is for the voltage regulator. So previous generations of bikes, they had the voltage regulator up forwards in the frame. From 2024, the voltage regulator is actually mounted in the airbox. And then this one on the end is for turn signals. So I've taken the fuel tank off so you can see the engine area more clearly. One change is the radiator lower outlet design has changed. It used to, on late model TPIs, go straight back, and in a crash, if the radiator got bent back, you could pinch the hose on the power valve screw and result in puncturing the hose, which is obviously not fun if you're out on a ride in the middle of nowhere. So this design, the outlet is swept up, the hose goes over the engine, should be a lot more reliable. Good change. Other changes, the cylinder head design is different. Got a bleed screw here. The temp sensor for the coolant has now moved up to the hose up here. So it allows easy changes of the cylinder head. Should simplify that a little bit. A big change is the power valve is now electronically controlled by the ECU and map you're using. So the standard model EXC, which is what I have, does not come fitted with a map switch. So standard, it is the high traction map, which should be good for hard enduro use, but I'm also keen to use and compare the high full power output map. So I've got a map switch on order. Hopefully that will come in soon. It's on back order right now. What else? Engine brace design is new, and interestingly they have multiple options for this, power parts. So you can change the flex characteristics of the frame. So the whole frame design is new. You can also swap out engine braces for stiffer ones, for more flexible ones, to change the feel of the bike. Throttle body is here. You've got the injectors mounted on the bottom of the throttle body. So there's two. There's one here, which you can see, one behind it. The oil injection goes into the reed valve assembly here. The oil tank is up underneath here with the oil pump. The fuel connection going to the fuel injectors is here, connected up to your fuel tank. You've got the bottom end here with the balancer, engine balancer, which results in the low vibration, lovely feeling engine. And here from the other side of the engine, you can see two adjusters on the throttle body. The lower yellow one is for starting. So in cold temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius, you want to push that in, and once it's warmed up, you can pull it out again. And the red adjuster is for the idle setting. So KTM in the owner's manual recommend an idle speed between 1,400 and 1,500 RPM for idle. And lastly, I want to show you behind the headlight mask. So here you can see the backside of the new style LED headlight. And it now uses a weatherproof connector, so a big improvement over the old style. I don't know why all of the connectors aren't weatherproof. They're moving in the right direction, but really should be all weatherproof to stop corrosion. You can see the lugs which can locate onto these screws, and there's two pins which locate into the front fender to hold the mask in place. Other connectors, so there's a six-way connector here which connects the handlebar switch for headlight and horn. This switch is for the brake light from the front brake. This one's for the speed sensor connected to the front wheel. And then there's a multi-switch here for the starter and kill switch control. And then hiding away behind that is termination for the CAN bus. So when I get my map switch, I'll be connecting up to that connector there and be able to switch between maps easily. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Now I've shown my bike in stock form, I can start performing some mods on it and make some other videos which will hopefully also be of interest to you.